I disapproved my son's marriage after she kicked my dog into the pool. He insisted on marrying her, so I cut ties with him. I never thought the woman my son loved would be the reason my family broke apart. Not because of betrayal or money, but because of a dog. Our dog Benny. Benny wasn't just a pet, he was family. My husband David found him at a shelter 12 years ago. A scared, trembling golden retriever with scars on his neck. The shelter staff said he had nearly drowned as a puppy when his first owner tried to get rid of him. From that day, Benny feared water more than anything. It took months of patience before he would even step near the backyard pool. Even then, he'd stop a few feet away and bark nervously, as if remembering something terrible. We all loved that dog fiercely. Especially me. I used to say, you can tell how kind a person is by the way they treat those who can't talk back. So when my son Caleb brought Tiffany into our lives, it didn't take long for me to see that she failed that test. Caleb was 28, ambitious, and recently promoted at the architectural firm where he worked in Dallas. Tiffany was everything he thought he wanted, beautiful, fashionable, and confident. But there was something about her that rubbed me wrong from the beginning. She walked into our home like it was a showroom, commenting on the furniture, the lighting, the dated kitchen cabinets, as if she were assessing what she could change once she became part of our family. "Wow," she said the first time she visited. "You guys must have had this decor for decades. So vintage." Vintage. That's what she called the mahogany table my husband had built by hand. I forced a polite smile, but inside I knew I didn't like her. Still, Caleb was happy. He looked at her the way he used to look at the stars when he was 10, like she was something magical. So I stayed quiet. Until the day that changed everything. It was a hot Saturday in June. We were hosting a small family cookout, just us, Caleb, his siblings, and Tiffany. Benny was running around the yard, tail wagging, happy to have everyone home. We were all by the pool, laughing and grilling burgers. Tiffany was on her phone most of the time, taking selfies, complaining about the heat. "Your dog keeps brushing against my dress," she said suddenly, annoyance in her voice. "He's just being friendly," I replied. She frowned. "It's gross. Can't you keep him away?" Before I could answer, Benny came near her again, sniffing the ground near her chair. I was about to call him back when I heard a splash. I froze. Benny was in the pool, panicking, flailing his paws, trying to keep his head above water. And Tiffany stood there, smiling. Caleb and David jumped in immediately, pulling Benny out. He was shaking uncontrollably, whimpering, his heart racing. I turned to Tiffany, trembling with anger. "Did you just kick him in?" She shrugged. "He was annoying me. I didn't think he'd react like that." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You knew he's terrified of water. You heard us say it earlier." She rolled her eyes. "Oh please. It's just a dog. You're acting like he's a person." I lost it. "Get out of my house." Caleb stepped between us. "Mom, calm down." "No," I shouted. "She hurt something I love, just to prove a point. And you're defending her." Tiffany smirked and walked toward the gate, muttering, "Over a mutt? Ridiculous." That was the moment I knew. Any woman who could harm something innocent for amusement had no place in my family. Caleb called the next day, apologizing for how things got out of hand. Out of hand? I repeated. "Your girlfriend traumatized an animal and acted like it was funny." He sighed. "Mom, you overreacted. She didn't mean any harm." "Caleb, listen to me. If this is the kind of woman you're defending now, what will you excuse later?" "She loves me, Mom," he said quietly. "You have to accept that." I shook my head, even though he couldn't see it. "No, son. I don't have to accept cruelty. Not from anyone." We didn't talk for weeks after that. 3 months later, Caleb called again, this time to tell us he was marrying Tiffany. "We're eloping," he said. "I want to start fresh without drama." David's hand tightened around mine as we sat in silence. "Son," he said gently, "if you go through with this, you're making a choice. And choices have consequences." Caleb was quiet for a moment before replying. "Then I guess I'll live with them." They got married that weekend. None of us attended. My husband and I removed his name from the family business, our will and our trust. It wasn't revenge. It was protection. I told him plainly. Embrace your new family very well, Caleb, because you're no longer part of ours. You chose her. Now live with that choice. He hung up on me. The next 2 years were quiet, too quiet. We heard from mutual friends that Tiffany had convinced Caleb to cut off almost everyone. She told people I was controlling, manipulative, and obsessed with him. She even spread a rumor that Benny had bitten her, which was a lie. Then we heard they moved to Las Vegas. I cried many nights, not just because I missed my son, but because I missed who he used to be. He was the kind of boy who'd carry injured birds back home, build tiny shelters for stray cats, and help his sisters with their homework without being asked. Now he was a stranger tied to a woman who had darkness behind her smile. On a cold, gray evening in early March when the knock came, the wind was howling through the pines, the kind of sound that makes an old house groan. David was dozing off on the couch, and Benny was curled up by the fire. I remember the moment so clearly. The smell of burning wood, the faint sound of country music on the radio, and then 3 sharp knocks. When I opened the door, I froze. There he was. Caleb. My son. The same boy I'd raised, loved, and lost. But the man standing in front of me looked like a ghost of him. His hair was longer, unkempt. His face was thinner, his eyes red-rimmed and hollow. His clothes were wrinkled and damp from the drizzle outside. He held nothing but a small duffel bag, like a man who'd finally run out of places to go. "Mom," he said softly, voice trembling. "Please, can I come in?" I didn't move. I looked at him. The son who had chosen cruelty over compassion, a woman over his family, a stranger over his blood. The same son who'd told me I was controlling, heartless, dramatic. All because I stood up for a helpless dog. The rain dripped from his jacket onto the porch. His breath came out in white clouds. I have nowhere else to go," he whispered. And that was the moment something inside me, something small and still hurting, snapped. I straightened my shoulders and said quietly, "You made your choice, Caleb." He blinked, confused. "Mom, please. You made your bed when you married her. You said she was all the family you needed. Remember?" His eyes filled with tears. "She left me, Mom. She took everything. My money, my car, she's gone. I didn't know who she really was." I felt my heart twist inside my chest, but I didn't let it show. "You didn't want to know," I said flatly. "We told you what she was. We begged you to see it. You shut us out. You cut your sisters off. You told your father he was toxic for not accepting her. You told me I was controlling for protecting that dog." He took a small step forward, his voice cracking. "Mom, please. I'm not asking for much. Just a place to sleep tonight." I looked at him. This grown man who once held my hand crossing the street, who once cried when he lost his first pet, who used to tell me I was his best friend, and my throat burned. But pride, grief, and the deep sting of betrayal held me still. I shook my head. "Hell no, you have a home with her. You chose her. Go back to her. She's gone," he said, his voice breaking completely. "She doesn't want me anymore." "Then you should have thought about that before you turned your back on the people who did." He stared at me, eyes wide with disbelief. "You're really turning me away? I'm your son." "You were," I said quietly, my heart cracking even as I spoke. "But the moment you looked me in the eye and defended the woman who kicked a terrified animal just for fun, that's when I lost you." The rain picked up, beating harder on the roof. He stood there, completely drenched, shivering, broken. For a moment, I wanted to take it all back, to pull him inside, to wrap him in a blanket like I used to when he was little. But something deep inside me whispered, "He needs to feel this. He needs to understand what his choices cost him." So I took a deep breath, stepped back inside, and slowly closed the door. Through the small crack before it shut completely, I saw him look down, his tears mixing with the rain. When the latch clicked, I leaned my forehead against the door and whispered, "God forgive me." Benny whimpered softly at my feet, as if he too felt the weight of what I'd done. David walked into the hallway, his voice low and heavy. "You did what you had to, Margaret." I nodded, though my throat burned. "If I let him back in now, he'll never learn, David. He'll never understand." We stood there for a long time, listening to the rain, the ache of silence between us louder than thunder. When I finally peeked out the window, Caleb was gone. All that was left was his muddy footprints on the porch, and a piece of my heart I'd never get back. If you were in my shoe, would you have taken him back? Please subscribe, thank you.